Af700, and this is my oratory speech on turtles and tortoises. Before I begin, I would just like to apologize to the judge for any background noises that you may hear. I live right next to a busy road, and so a lot of cars often pass by my window. And I also have a family member's home, which means they're going to be a bit loud. My dog is untrained, and she barks a lot. I would also just like to mention my apologies for being hoarse. I was at a basketball game last night, which means I was yelling and talking a lot. Without further ado, let's begin. Close your eyes and imagine an animal. Maybe not that animal. Okay, that one's a little closer. This animal is green. All shades of green and sometimes brown. So just any one of those. Here's a better one. Think of an animal that is slow. Physically, it just kind of plods along. I mean, like, they're obviously not like the slowest animal. They're not the fastest either, but they're on the slower end of things. I'm realizing now that I'm probably not helping you. Here, we'll try one more time. Think of an animal that is often known for racing hares. If you somehow managed to guess a tortoise, congratulations. Now, as I'm saying that, I understand the confusion. After all, just like I did, a lot of people get turtles and tortoises confused. Let me help you out. Tortoises are slow. They plod along on the land, and they're just vegetarians. Turtles, like sea turtles, they often are known for swimming in the water. Sure, they walk on land and they're slow, but when they're in the water, they're actually pretty fast. And they're also omnivores, which, even though that means in the context of fish and plants, is a little scary to think about. Turtles and tortoises are often confused for each other just because they look similar. In fact, I only knew the difference between them when my brother got tortoises for Christmas. He has two of them. The first one is named Mikey, after Michelangelo, his favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Turtles and tortoises getting confused, after all. And the second one is named Shellington, because, you know, tortoises have a shell. We thought it was funny. Mikey and Shellington have not only taught us the difference between turtles and tortoises, but we've also somehow managed to find life lessons between them. Just like turtles and tortoises, alpacas and llamas, which I still don't know the difference between, and bulls and rams, a lot of times animals get confused for each other, just like a lot of times people get confused for each other as well. Today, I'm going to be talking about finding the differences between us and how to make the most of our lives, and finally, a coming out of our shells, figuring out what to do with what we learned. First, an adventure on finding the differences between us. Now, physical aspects, just like in all animals, is pretty easy to find. After all, you can see already that I have long hair. You might be able to tell that I have blue eyes, and I have pale skin. You might be able to tell that I have a decently sized nose and a decently sized forehead. I don't know what you look like, but I'm sure you have defining characteristics that make you look like you. And, just like everybody else, our physical characteristics, when you just describe them, make us sound like probably somebody else. After all, I am friends with a bunch of people that have long hair. I'm friends with a bunch of people that have brown hair. While I don't think they have eyes as pretty as mine, I'm sure they probably do have blue eyes around the world. In order to find the differences between us that actually characterize who we are, we need to go deeper into our personalities. Into other personalities is even harder. So first, we go into ours. What makes you you? What's your hobbies? What's your ideas? What do you look for in life? What do you look for in a partner and a friend? How do you act? How do you treat people? What do you believe in? All of these are personality traits that make you you, whether or not you're selfish or selfless, whether or not you're giving, you're charitable, or you're like a Scrooge. Whether or not you're you and I'm me. In order to find the personality difference, you have to be willing and open to actually talk to these people. You have to actually want to know these people, or else they're going to give you a false identity. Not as in like identity theft, where they say that their name is Joe Rogers when it's actually John Bridgers. I mean, like, they're going to show you the personality that they show everybody else. Everybody wears a mask. Just like turtles and tortoises have shells to protect their innards, we have a mask on our face to protect our innards, like our heart and our emotions. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but please just stick with me. We, in order to protect ourselves, we hide who we are to the world. And, as I'll talk about later on, we need to change that in the easiest way possible. After all, life is too short to do all these self-improvement books. They never really work anyways. Secondly, I wanted to talk about making the most of our lives. You might be wondering, how does that tie into turtles and tortoises? Well, hear me out. Tortoises especially are known for being slow. They walk around, just kind of living life as it comes. The motion of the ocean, as they say. We need to not be like that. As much as I love turtles and tortoises, and as much fun as they are to make puns out of them, we need to stop acting like them. We can't just go through life doing what everybody else does. And I'm sure this is an inspirational speech everybody has heard 1,000 times, but it's still relevant to today. Turtles and tortoises teach us a lot of things, but going through life is not one of them. In order to step out of this, in order to actually take life into your own hands, you must first wonder what you're doing with your life. Take me, for example. 2 years ago, I was really sad. Sad as in I look back and I'm disappointed in myself. And sad as in emotionally as well. I had virtually no friends because I just moved to a brand new high school and I didn't know anybody. I didn't do any activities. My schedule consisted of wake up, go to school, come home, go to bed. That was it. While my days were pretty much carefree and I wasn't harming anybody by not doing anything, I was harming myself by not pushing myself into doing other things. By not trying to find friends, I kind of lost part of myself. I'm proud to say that this year, especially, I've been doing a lot better. I obviously joined the speech and debate team, which I'm now vice captain of. I'm part of the basketball team, which I'm now captain of. Yay me. I'm going to do my second year of softball, and I'm also going to do my first year of volleyball. I also am part of student leadership, which is actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I'm applying for internships, I'm applying for college and scholarships, even though I didn't think I'd ever get that far. For the first time in my life outside of elementary school, I got a 4.0 last term. And while I'm not saying I might achieve the same results from this term, at least I got it once. We just need to stop. That's what I did. I took a step back and I looked at myself and I think, this isn't what I want to be. I read about all these stories and all these people and how they go on these amazing adventures. My favorite book is Lord of the Rings. And Frodo went on this huge adventure. And I've always wanted to do that. And I looked back on myself and I said, this isn't what Frodo would do. I wanted to go on an adventure, and instead of waiting for some old wizard to come and find me, I tried to make my own. And, while I haven't taken a ring and thrown it into a volcano recently, I have made a lot of friends, and I've known a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of amazing stories. And I can say for certain that my life is a lot better now that I've taken my life into my own hands, and for once in my life, stopped acting like a turtle. Finally, we're going to talk about a how-to on coming out of our shells. This is by far probably the worst turtle pun that you're going to hear this entire speech. So please just bear with me. Turtles and tortoises can't physically come out of their shells. It's connected to them. They can stick their arms and their legs out, sometimes their tails. They can stick their little head out, and that's it. We have this special thing where we are not bound by our shell or our mask, and we can come out of it. While I don't encourage you to try and force your turtle or tortoise to come out of their shells, because it will kill them, I encourage you, personally, to do it. In order to come out of our shells, we need confidence. And in order to have confidence, we need to understand our weaknesses. In order to find our weaknesses, just like with making the most of our lives, we have to take a step back and look at ourselves. That's the big lesson of all of this. You just have to look at yourself before you can focus on anybody else. Before you can find the differences between us, you have to find who you actually are. Going back to the weaknesses, let's take me for example. I just gave you this entire list of all these things that I'm doing good at. I think it's fair that I boost your confidence a little and say that I am not perfect. If my speech is ending the go by and my many stutters, I think you'll realize that. Even though I had a 4.0 last term, let me tell you, I hate math. In fact, I'm actually currently failing math. I know that I'll get over it and then I'll fix it, but for now, it's just a big stressor in my life. I have never been able to pay attention in my math class. It's just like I zone out for 1 second and it seems like the teacher is speaking an entirely different language. Same with science. Science and math seem to go hand in hand sometimes. In fact, I haven't even taken chemistry yet, even though it's a required class to graduate at my school. Instead, I took meteorology because it's easier. In order to find your weaknesses, it's really hard. For academically, maybe not so. You just look at your grades. But for everything else, about how you're emotionally dependent on other people, how you don't allow yourself to get close to other people, anger issues, attachment issues, all of that is a lot harder. And I have absolutely no way to help you. After all, everyone can just give you advice, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. In order to actually do it, you have to try yourself. So today, we talked about turtles and tortoises, the adventure on finding the differences between us as people and as turtles. And we also learned about how to make the most of our lives. Stop plodding along the sand and actually get a grip on ourselves. And finally, in my opinion, the most important lesson today is how to come out of our shells. After all, I wouldn't be where I am today without the support system that I have, without my friends and my teachers and my family. I hope that you learned something today, and I really hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.